This is an international podcast transmission. Is anyone out there? If you're listening, you've reached the No Fixed Agenda podcast. All right, welcome back, everybody, to No Fixed Agenda presented by Bubs Naturals. I am Jeff Stoner. I'm joined by Omar Hernandez to my side. Oh, what's up, dude?
What up, man?
Hey, man, we've got a really great episode today. We've talked to a good friend of mine who I've known through the business side of things here in San Diego, through business networks and the endurance category. So it was really cool to kind of hear perspective of what she kind of went through to find her now current job. And one of those things is it's all about the side hustle.
Is it really though? I mean, do you think about it? It is about it. I loved having the conversation with her about her side hustle and how, I mean, she doesn't have like a little job now. It's a big job. She's with Canyon.
Yeah, Canyon Bicycles. She's the marketing director for USA here. So that side hustle that she had in cycling turned into what her now corporate job, her dream job almost, in a sense. She gets the chance to go out, ride bikes all the time and be in the cycling industry where she wants to be. And so it's really cool to see how progression, I guess, from my relationship with her, because we kind of grew up trying to build a brand in two different levels here. And it was really cool to see where she's at now and what she's gone through and stuff like that. So.
And how important is that? So for the listeners, I think the audience is going to take away that any side hustle can become a corporate job or your dream job.
Yeah.
If you just simply put the effort. I mean, look at you and your businesses and that whole dynamic between you and her and learning that relationship between you two is pretty cool. But I think the biggest thing that the audience is going to take away is that a side hustle can become your dream job.
Yeah. It's just fun conversation. It's really cool to again, hear what she's done in the past to get where she is. So I hope you guys enjoy. This is going to be Jaclyn Mayer. She's with Canyon Bicycles, marketing director for the USA. All right. Hope you guys enjoy. The No Fixed Agenda podcast is brought to you by Bubs Naturals. Their mission is simple: live better, longer. Bubs helps fuel people to reach their maximum human potential through supplements sourced from nature's highest quality ingredients, all while giving 10% of profits back to charity. That's right, people, 10% back to charity. Learn more about their NSF for sport certified collagen peptides and electrolyte drink mix at bubsnaturals.com. Good. Anyway, we both came to San Diego roughly about the same time, I think. It was 2005, 2006 when we definitely met, but we were over right in there, Sereno Valley. It was that hotel, like first thing in the morning. It was at 8 o'clock. And it was the first meeting I'd ever been to. And I think it was maybe your first or second one, I think.
Yeah.
You were definitely helping out. You were behind.
I usually volunteer so I can meet people more easily. So
yeah. So that's how we met. And just randomly, I don't really think we really hung out after that. We saw each other at the meetings, but it was one of those things where we saw each other at the meetings and then eventually we started working together the same events. I think if I remember that correctly in some degree. See, there's also a memory test.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, wow.
See how important I am.
I don't remember shit.
I remember the meeting, and it's weird because I worked for a IT staffing company at the time, and that's what got me over to California. I worked in corporate world in Chicago, and I was like, when I moved to San Diego, I chose to move to San Diego, and I had a job before I moved, and I just wanted any job, and my boss was like, okay, you're doing business development. So here are all the networking groups in town. They have meetings in the morning and they have meetings in the evening. Yeah. And from everything like the MIT Enterprise Forum to an accounting group. And I went to everything. And here I was like 27, single, female, and going into these rooms and like the San Diego Venture Group, whatever it's called. And like just learning how to work a room. And this group, I always loved sports and I always wanted to get into sports. And when I found this group existed, I was like, well, I know nothing about action sports, but it sounds great. I bet the guys are cool. So
you were single, by the way.
And so I'm prefacing this because when I met Jeff, I remember distinctly he was tall, handsome, and I was like,
oh, okay.
And then he was
handsome.
She lies a lot.
Okay.
But I think we knew we were both from Illinois.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that was one of the conversations as I found out you're from Joliet area.
No, DeKalb.
Or DeKalb. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
And since college, and that's Joliet's area.
Got it.
Two different towns.
So, yeah, I think that was one of the conversations that we had, I think, that started us on that path.
Yeah.
Of
And you actually invited me to come hang out in PB, and I was like, cool. You're like, with my girlfriend. I was like, okay. And I didn't end up meeting up with them, but I think we ended up, at some point, we would have had to have coffee because then I met Des. And I fell in love with her. And I was like,
that's easy to do. Yeah.
And then, but that was here.
Now I say, hey, dude, this is cool.
But then, and I don't remember actually, I think we would have coffee or spitball or whatever. I was always looking for another job also because I did not like my job. And I was all entrepreneurism. That was brand new to me. And he was in that. And so, that was
before it was Seasick Marketing. It was another brand, and we restructured it. Anyway, I don't want to go into that. That's long story that I don't want to get into.
Don't go into that rabbit hole. Back out.
Yes, that was with Seasick Marketing when I was first in town, and that's how everything came to be today. But yeah, it's interesting how it's been overlapping for us the entire time, right? There's been times where we haven't seen each other for a couple of years, at least when we were starting out, and then we ran into each other. Then you started working with one group, and then I would end up working with another group, and we were working on the same event together.
You were working on, you were, when I was actually, when I can't remember if it was before or after I met my now husband when Jeff did work in the cycling industry, my husband was in the cycling industry, and I'm first starting to date my husband. And I said something about Jeff Stoner, and you never forget that name. And my husband's, what? I know him. And I hadn't talked to him in forever. And I don't remember how this conversation came up. And we sent him a selfie together. We're we're together.
Small work.
What? And then actually we started working. I was after that we really started work together.
Yeah.
More.
Is ASI even around anymore?
No, it changed to San Diego Sports Innovators, SDSI.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had lost track. I think I was with that for a couple of years. And then I think as the busier I got, the less I not wanted to do, but I just never got around to it. And they always met at weird times and all that stuff. And I don't know. So it was a good group for what it was, I think. At least it introduced both of us, I think, to people in the community and stuff, I think, and to each other, obviously. But that was my memory of meeting Jack. And so that was
Jack or Jaclyn.
I always introduce myself as Jaclyn, but Jack is, as long as it's not Jackie, he had to break that habit.
I asked, all right, by the way.
Yeah.
I said, as long
do not call her Jackie, dude.
That's how I grew up. That's what my high school,
it took Des and I a long time for that.
Yeah.
I didn't want, I tried to change my name when I left college to Jaclyn, and then that didn't work because I was living in Chicago and my friends and my colleagues would meet and it just would never stick. And then when I moved out here,
the fresh start, you were like,
but my best friend was here too. And so I could never get it to stick. And then when I went into the cycling community, the way Italians say Jaclyn is way better than like Yaki. And it doesn't have the same ring. And so I was like, this is when I'm changing it officially. And then I met my husband. I was like, oh, but you can't call me Jaclyn. That's too formal and weird. Like, I'm not used to that. So I let him pick a nickname and he picked Jack.
Oh, there you go.
And then
And how long you been married now?
9 years.
What do you do today?
Today, I am the director of marketing operations for Canyon Bicycles, a bike brand manufacturer.
And you were talking about the organization that you also...
that I volunteer for? I just started this year in January. It's called Girls Rising, and it's for mentoring at-risk girls, youth girls. And there's everything from age. I think it's like 7 to 18. And actually the girl I'm a mentor for is 18, just turned 18.
Wow. Oh, wow. And when you say at risk, so...
Yeah, that was also confusing for me. I wasn't really sure. Right. And a long time ago, I volunteered for Big Brothers, Big Sisters. And that really that was very challenging. But I think it's supposed to be girls who they come, maybe a parent is incarcerated or they're living with a grandparent and not a parent, or they're low income or something. And usually they've been referred into the program by a school counselor or a doctor or a therapist. And so I was a little nervous because of that and not knowing what
to expect.
And I said, I want a teenager. I didn't want a young child. I wanted a teenager. And I knew that would come with a lot of potential hazards.
Hormones and hazards. But go ahead.
Yeah. But fortunately, the young woman I was matched up with she's got more ambition and responsibility, that she takes on herself that I've met most adults. And so she's definitely, I wouldn't call her at risk. She just comes from a family that made their way to the U.S. and she's, her and her brothers are making now their way. Her family's still together. They're tight. Like I said, it's just giving her opportunities.
So when they made from where? Mexico?
Yeah. As like teenagers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's pretty powerful. I'm huge on that. When you say the word at risk. And so like for me, it's not even like a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Just because of my upbringing. And so growing up in a volatile situation, when I say at risk, I grew up around drugs and alcohol my entire life. So I was at risk, right? And so, here I am, a business owner now. So it's interesting to see that people come from those quote unquote harsh environments and what they're able to do. But it's funny. I think it's very admirable of you, by the way, only because when you come from that environment or you come from another country, always looking for something and someone to mirror. And so that's like the one thing when I came from my environment, there were no good role models to mirror. And so I was always looking for that next role model, the next male role model. And it was always the guy on the corner with the clean tennis shoes. That was the guy that I wanted to mirror. And then there was somebody else. Oh, he's a business owner. I'm going to mirror him. Right. And so it's cool. It's very admirable that you actually take time to volunteer for that. Kudos to you.
Thanks. Yeah. I'm lucky to have been matched with such a great young woman. And she chose to be in the program. She wants experience.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, let's go. I will do that. That's what I want too. I want to give somebody that experience.
That's so
cool.
Is
this a San Diego based only?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Riverside, San Diego.
Oh, so Southern California.
Yes, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And then how many branches they have. You get matched up with her. Is there also like this? She looks at that as okay. She has a choice of individuals that she can partner up with.
The way it's supposed to work is, you write a bio for yourself as a mentor, and the mentees make a bio for themselves, and then they look at location to each other as one of the big factors because you're going to have to drive and pick up and drop off, and that's a lot of effort in miles and things like in time. And then they look at hobbies and interests, or they look at backgrounds. They look at all sorts of things. I don't know actually how much choice they have in the match. I don't know how many volunteers there actually are and like where are there more mentees or mentors. I'm not really sure. I haven't been in the organization long enough to be able to ask or to talk to somebody who would know that answer. But I waited for 2 months. They were like, we don't have anybody that's within your area. So I waited, and she ended up having a mentor drop out that she had just met like only a few months. And it was like, we were our only options for each other. But so we're like,
and how long is the program? So how long were
you're supposed to commit for a year, but now that she's 18, technically, I mean, they have a new program that's meant for women to like in their next phase to be able to continue with mentorship. So you're supposed to commit to a year going in. Yeah.
When it comes to the mentorship of it, are you talking to her about the college aspect of it and the working side of things, or is it all just personal relationship type of things and getting the social aspect of it too? Because it can go in all different directions, right?
Yeah, they're clear. Like, you're not there to parent them. You're not there to discipline them. You're not there to judge them. You're not 100%. There. If you pick up on something, you need to flag it. And I was nervous about that. For us, I mean, everything is very much like on the experience. Like, what are we going to, like, we made a list of the things that she wanted to do, and I gave some ideas. And so it's like knocking off that list, like going and hiking Torrey Pines, going for a bike ride. She has ridden a bike, but riding, we went on a trail that she had never been that far on. Right. Having culinary experience. I love food. I had her try Thai food. She only eats what her mom makes, her parents make, and what she has at school. So she tried Thai food. And on Sunday, we're going to go do Italian food.
Wow.
And so we're just like slowly working on this list, and she'll bring up new ideas. And so we talk, and I find out about her day or where she's at. She's got a lot going on with school and graduating and looking in colleges and what she wants to do for her career. And I just listen to her and give her some input, like, well, maybe you should get a job.
That message is better received when it's not your parent, by the way.
I know you want to focus on school, but you got to pay for school.
Really? Yeah. So what inside of you made you want to do something like that?
first of all, I don't have children of my own. I'm a stepmom to about to be 22-year-old man.
Yeah, not even a kid.
He's still a kid at 21, all right?
If you saw him, he's a man.
Yeah, he's a man.
And I've never had the drive to have children of my own.
Got it.
And I always assumed I would, but I didn't make it a priority. And so I just knew I didn't want to be with anybody for the sake of making babies. I wanted to just see what happened and find my partner in life and then see what that looked like.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that before my husband, I dated guys with kids. And so it was a pattern.
You're dating, do you have kids?
Yeah.
Yes, you're winning.
Yeah. And maybe it was like, good, I don't have to have any. I'm sure it's something a psychologist, a therapist would probably be able to really help me zone in on that. But I told my husband at the time, he's also 15 years older than me, and he had a 9-year-old son. And I said, I don't know. And I'm 29 at this point. And he was 44. I was 29.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said, I heard that women sometimes wake up one day and say, I want to have kids. I heard this happens because I don't feel it right now.
Oh, I'm sure
I heard
Dan
it
is
happens.
loving
At
this
29,
I don't know. Right. I'm like, I'm 29 years old. I don't know if I will change in 1 year. I don't know if it'll be 4 years. I don't know if I'll wake up at 40. I don't know what is going to happen. So you have to be along for that. And he was like, he doesn't say that many smart things like this, emotionally intelligent things.
No.
Most men don't.
Sorry, Dan. No.
Yeah, most men don't, though. So, yeah.
But he said, okay, I'm not willing to lose you over this. So I'm open ish. Let's see where it goes. And as time went on, sure enough, as there was drama with exes and a child growing up and going through and then puberty and all the drama that comes with that. And there was just so much. And my husband had terrible health issues. And I was like, there's no way in hell I'm starting at zero. And there's no way in hell I want to bring a child into this environment. And I didn't feel the urge. I could have adopted, but I didn't feel that. It's just been not there.
Right.
But I know I have a lot to give. And I know I really love, like, when I see young women who are like, they've got something, they're intelligent and they're driven. And I just want to be able to support them and impart wisdom and also just encourage them. I don't know. That is innate now. Like I still don't want babies, but I want to be able to surround myself with as many young women as I can. Yeah. Help them at least in a moment of time, or if it's long term.
I call that leaving a legacy. I do. It really is. If you think about it, because you are imparting a lot of wisdom into these young women. Right. And that's part of who you are. Right. And it's who your heart, your knowledge, your experiences. And you're like, that's a legacy that you're going to be leaving into these young women it's going to be lasting.
Yeah. Yeah. And is it about me? Yeah. I have a lot to give, but at the same time, it's not just me telling them and talking at
it's them doing it.
I genuinely care about them and I want them to just tell me what's going on in their life. And so, yeah, that's, I guess, where and I think that's building now as I am making time and seeing that this is also healthy for me too. Yeah. To do this. So.
That's cool.
Yeah. I think you can talk about the kids and stuff. Gavin was super young when you and Dan started.
9. Yeah. 9 years
so
old,
you missed out on all the baby stuff. Yeah. But pretty much raised Gavin from 9 to 22 at this point in time.
So I'm a stepdad too. And I like biological children, right? I always say stepmoms and dads are like dads and moms. Like the reality is you raise children.
It's not like he had a very involved mom. So it wasn't like I was a part of the group of people that helped raise him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't even know where I was going with that thought.
No, it's true. I just want to
give credit where credit is due.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same way. I'm the modern day Brady Bunch. I have 3 children, biologically mine, with an ex-wife. One woman. And then I married a woman who has 3 kids.
Oh, yeah.
And both parents on both sides of the coin were involved to an extent. And whether they were on it all the time or off it all the time, divorce and that kind of environment can be volatile at sometimes. Yeah. But for the most part, I credit all 4 of us from both sides, right? No matter what role they played, whether it's they were off at times, because heck, I was going through my own issues when I was going through divorce, and my wife's ex-husband was going through his own issues. But ultimately, all of us had an input in raising those children, right? And so it's cool. You have a role, and I think it's important. So,
and you definitely don't know if you did, until later. And at the time, I didn't think I was. To me, it was unrequited love. Yeah, like I loved him, still love him so much. Yet I knew I didn't have a say in shit, and I knew that if I got mad, it didn't matter. It didn't. So I just had to just love him and be okay with that, and not receive it in the same way. Like it was, yes, he respected me and appreciated me for certain things, but at that young age, and it's only got worse into teenage years.
It usually does.
But then now it's come full circle, and it's a totally different relationship, and like that. Mm-hmm. Oh God, thank God. Yeah. I was really worried. My husband was like, don't worry, he'll come back around. And he did. So it's wonderful. It's worth all the pain. Yeah. And that's like, when my parents are mad that I don't have kids of my own, and I'm like, there's so much pain that you have to go through. I don't want to.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to start from zero.
Yeah. No, I always say it's like step parenting was me. It was ironic because I have my own children. And so for me, step parenting was like, okay, this is back in the day when you used to be able to spank kids, right? And you can't do that now. But anyhow, so it's worse than a spanking, 100%.
No, that's like abuse.
Yeah. But the reality is parenting with me was like a line, right? But when I was step parenting, I never crossed the line I never required or asked those kids to call me dad. But they knew my role in the house. And vice versa. My kids knew my wife's role in the house, but they never called my wife mom. They still called her Suzette, or they called her, my youngest one was little. He was like 1 or 2. And so he grew up not knowing his biological parents to be together. So he used to call my wife mama, and that killed my ex-wife. Yeah. It wasn't like mom. It was a nickname that he just came up and did. And so it's ironic. They do come back full circle. My kids are all grown now. I think my youngest is 24 and my oldest is 30, right? And they're up there in age, but they all come back full circle. And when we come together, the biggest issue we had was blending the family. Mm-hmm. And so even you don't have kids, you were in a blended family one way or another. And that's difficult in itself. So I think you have a lot of those traits growing up. I think it's very ironic that you've decided to become a mentor to young women, and you're actually using a lot of those traits along the way. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Canyon for a second.
Yeah.
I want to give credit to a local San Diego company here.
Canyon's local, dude?
To U.S., yeah. They're here in Carlsbad.
U.S. headquarters is in Carlsbad.
Yeah.
Wow. German company. But I give them props for props is due. It's Carlsbad local and whatever, right? So I want to talk about them for just a second. And so this is the extension of the conversation we had earlier, and like how we got to know each other and how we worked together in certain things. You've been in the cycling industry for years, right? Because you did 13 years.
Yeah. Wow. You did Grand Fondos. You did the Belgian waffle ride, correct? And now Canyon, and then you were mixed in there somewhere else. I'm missing something.
Oh gosh. I mean, there was some one-off stuff.
Yeah. So my question, we had a race announcer in here a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him the same question because I was used to be in that industry and have not been in that industry for 13-ish years, maybe a little bit less. But from the moment that you got into it to where you're at now, what have you seen that's completely different in the cycling industry?
When I came in with real fresh eyes,
because it's interesting to me to see how cycling has changed from a sport perspective. It used to be where you would have all these small little crits here in the US. You'd had the Tour of California, you had the big race out in Colorado, and now, and if I'm not mistaken, there's barely anything. It's turned in from, at least US, it's gone more to the gravel side of things, right? Yeah,
gravel events for sure, mountain bike events, and there are some groups bringing back the crit, or that brought back the crit, and are trying to, and we sponsor one of those teams that is involved in that. It's hard to say because I really knew nothing about the industry when I entered it, and it was totally by accident. And when I reflect back on that time, like the time of girls involved that don't actually ride with brands, Booth Babes and the Inner Bikes and the scandals that came out of there. And the sexualization stuff that would never happen now. And
it was terrible.
Yeah. And that's awesome, first of all. But the gravel scene just continues to be very inclusive. And it's a great place to start if you're just getting into cycling.
Are you familiar?
I'm not even familiar with any of this stuff. So.
All right, Jack,
educate me.
Bring it down.
Let's go.
Gravel riding.
It's actually really cool.
For a long time.
What is gravel riding?
Basically, it's a curly bar bike, so it's a road bike.
Okay.
But it's got bigger wheels, like mountain bike wheels.
Okay.
So you can ride on gravel roads. You can ride on some trails. It's like an adventure bike. I mean, it's very much known for like packing, going for a whole weekend and camp ride and you know, all your stuff on you. And I apologize, I am not a history buff on cycling. I focus on my job of getting things done, and then all that history stuff.
This podcast has just gone to shit now.
Yeah, forget it.
Never mind. Forget it.
Cut.
We're done. Together. You're gonna have to fact check.
Yeah. I'm Googling. Don't worry. Go ahead.
Yeah. Gravel riding came in hot. It had been happening forever, but all of a sudden somebody was able to commercialize it.
Got it.
And it was similar to the Gran Fondo phenomenon.
Yeah.
Where then
what is the Gran Fondo?
Gran Fondo is the Great Ride, and it's an Italian concept of riding 100 miles, or there's something called Centuries, which are 100 miles.
The Oceanside, there's the bike the coast that's in Oceanside every year. Still, I think, right? I think it's still around.
I avoid the roads when that happens.
Anyway, so it's that same similar thing to that is, as Jaclyn said, it's a mass start ride.
Okay.
And you pretty much are doing.
It's not a race.
It's not a ride. It's not a race at all. It's just a full on ride, and you're riding 100+ miles through whatever course, and you get done. And the way the Italians did it, the way the Gran Fondo was set up, is it's then a celebration at the end where you've got, you know, a big feast and beer and expo and all this stuff. And that was huge there for a few years.
Very social event. You didn't necessarily have to be a great athlete. You could be just getting into riding, and there will be different levels or different lengths of the courses that you could take. But it was all about social aid stations that are just stocked with fun food, and it was more experience. And that's the first event that was my intro into cycling, was a Gran Fondo. And I knew nothing about it at the time, but it was all sponsored. This particular one was sponsored by Italian brands, Italian bike company, Italian components company, It was authentic as you could get. And nobody's ever done that since. They all have a different version of their own Gran Fondos. And they're usually beautiful courses and in beautiful places and things like that.
I don't think riding 100 miles would appeal to me. Just saying,
But I can about adventure running
during the pandemic. That's all you did. I would assume that the pandemic made cycling huge, because I went out and bought a bike because there was nothing else I could do.
You know what? Jack and I talked about this, which is really interesting to me, and that's a great point, because outdoor activity is really the only thing you could do. But it also changed the dynamic of bike retail immensely. You don't really see a lot of bike retailers too much anymore. It's now bike mechanics that
service and sell
that actually sell bikes on the back,
like a broker or like a dealer, like a bike dealer, if you will.
So the bike industry has been tumultuous forever, with bike shops having to buy from manufacturers every year, multiple times a year, and hold inventory. And at one point, the bike shops were basically being financed. Hey, bike brand, we're going to order these 20 bikes. Oh, bike brand makes that bike shop get that many bikes. Oh, wait, you haven't sold them all. We have a new model year, so now you have to have this inventory too. And it was very hard for the bike shops to make money and do well. Yeah. And so that's always been a battle, but they always lived in that. And then with the pandemic, you had everybody wanted a bike. And so
you couldn't even find a bike.
Yeah.
I remember you could not find a bike.
Yeah. The bike shops were selling through everything.
Yep.
So it was a heyday if the bike shop was still around. If there was a lot of
the pandemic was the best thing to ever.
But then there was a lot of the big manufacturers who were buying up smaller shops. So Trek and Specialized buying up real estate and buying the local shops and making them true Trek superstores or whatever they're called.
Yeah. And Canyon was the first, we talked about it. I think you said Canyon was the first brand that actually started selling direct to
in the US, one of the, I don't know if we were the first or one of the first, but we are certainly a disruptor in being direct to consumer bike brand. And when we came, we opened the website, I think it was 2018, maybe. Again, I'm not a good historian, but, and people were mad, like really mad. How dare you? Bike shop. How are you? You want to go? You're going after the bike shops, putting them out of business, and that was, it's just a different business model. There's still bikes to be serviced.
Right.
We're not asking you to hold inventory, but it was people had different perspectives, but then during the pandemic, it really validated our business model because then the other bike brands wanted to go
direct to consumer,
and they had to catch up really fast.
Yeah.
And weren't set up for it from a customer service standpoint to just a business model. So it's been a really interesting time. And then you couldn't get a bike and everybody was selling, like doing great. And consultants and analysts were saying, buy more, produce more.
Yeah.
And then the suppliers got, backed up. And now fast forward, we're all sitting on inventory,
thousands of bikes
inventory. And so now it's another problem.
Yeah.
It's this vicious.
It's funny.
Cycle.
I remember thinking as a fitness coach, right? So I just became a fitness coach. I left logistics. I have a 23-year career in supply chain and logistics. So when you talk about inventory, my brain starts firing off, right? So I'm like, good Lord, I would hate to be with that manufacturer. But I left that career right before the pandemic. And I decided to leave my 6-figure career to do fitness. And I was at a gym and then they sent us all home. I had never been out of a job. This is why this podcast exists. Because it was like, I don't have nothing to do. What am I going to do? I'm going to write 5. What are my fears? And one of them was talking into a mic and doing this. And long and short of it was I went from everybody was looking to do online. I'm not an online person. I'm not. There was so many fitness people doing Zoom workouts. I even got a contract with the after school program of Vista to do Zoom workout. And I was like, good Lord, this is horrible. It was what it was. But then pandemic changed it because then I was like, I'm just going to run. I remember as soon as the pandemic happened, I got so I'm going to buy a bike on Amazon. It was some $800 Schwinn piece of crap, dude. I was like, I'm just going to ride it because I got nothing else to do. So I'll ride my bike. And they hadn't closed the beach down. So I'll go swimming in the beach, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking I would go on my run and I would see all of a sudden hundreds of people just out there running. People that normally, I used to run normally, right? That was just like run 3 times a week. And there was maybe 5 people to like, now you're running into 50, 60 people. Yeah. And then the bike scene was crazy. I used to sit there because my house is right up against there was a bike path right behind my house. So I'd get on a bike. I got my bike in. I ride on my bike. I go down the coast 50 miles and come back. And it was like 5 freeway.
Yeah, all
the cyclists. It was wild. I was like, dude, if you owned a bike shop, you had to be rich right now.
Yeah, and then the question everybody was wondering, like, all these new cyclists, are they going to stay? Are they going to, after all this dust settles?
The answer to me was no. I haven't ridden my bike since.
Are they going to? Yeah. So no. I think that some did, but a lot did not. But I mean, it's evident. I mean, there's more cyclists on the road than ever, but you got a lot of e-bikes too. A lot of e-bikes just.
Does Canyon do e-bikes?
We do e-bikes, but not in the way that not like a Rad Power or like Beach Cruiser, but performance.
So is it pedal assist stuff or is it actual?
Oh no, it's all pedal assist. Yeah. There is no.
That's the way to go, though.
What do you mean? So the e-bike scene drives me crazy, by the way.
Oh,
yeah, don't get me started.
100%.
Yeah. I'm like, when I was riding my bike, and on average during the pandemic, I was 18 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, depending on the road, dude. But then you would be riding your bike, just mind your own business, and you see this e-bike flying by. You're like, this is crazy.
Yeah. So there's 3 classes of e-bikes. Class 1 is a bike that you have to pedal to go, and then at a certain point, the motor kicks in, and then you get. It's pedal assist, and that'll help you get up a hill. Yeah. It'll speed you up if you have a slow cadence. Class 1 goes up to 20 miles an hour.
Okay.
Then there's a class 3. So I'm going to skip 2. 3 is the same thing, but it goes up to 28 miles an hour. Those bikes are only allowed on roads. So on a class 1, 20 miles an hour, that's where your mountain bikes are, like for me on mountain bike trails or commuters, or it depends. People who are just learning to ride a bike that are getting on either of those, they still go faster.
Right.
And they could probably pedal on their own anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
Then your class 2 is your non-pedal assist. So that has a throttle or a button. And that's Rad Powers that you see. That's a lot of all the stuff you see the kids riding. And that's, I don't know this for a fact, but that's the one people are dying in accidents.
It's terrible.
Yes.
I think, again, you'll have to fact check me. It's mostly on those kind of bikes.
Wow.
And that is where you definitely have people who have not ridden bikes, have the kids who have never don't know the rules of the road, taken any classes.
Yeah.
So bad.
They don't need a license, do they?
No, don't need a permit, don't need a license.
Wow.
Don't even legally need to wear a helmet. I think some of those laws are changing.
What?
Yeah.
And then sometimes they're not wearing shoes. Sometimes they have a kid on the back and backwards. So you've seen it, obviously. I'm not telling you anything.
One time I've seen 4 people
Yeah.
on one bike.
So
but the regulations have not caught up
no, they
at all. And so I don't know what's taking so long. Like, it seems pretty simple to me. Like, you can't have a class, or you can't have an e-bike without
Some kind of
permit.
license. Yeah,
You
something,
certainly
right?
can't have
How fast does a class 2 go?
I don't know, but then those are the ones that people can, like, I don't know what the term is, jailbreak or whatever. Like, some savvy parents or people
picking 'em up a
crank
little bit.
those up and they go real fast.
Wow.
But
that whole entire.
But yeah, I mean, it
deal
should
is-
be, but then you can't even say one person on a bike because you've got like cargo bikes that fit multiple people
Yeah.
built for that. But at least, like, you have to have a driver's license because you have to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
You have to wear shoes. Like, those should be those could be some real basic things that are actually enforceable.
Yeah.
I just don't know why it hasn't happened.
I blame Costco.
Costco?
I actually, like, Costco was selling e-bikes, or had been selling e-bikes, and there was that
If we ever
stretch.
get a Costco representative, this is not a dig on them, okay?
It's not like dig on Costco, but at the same
Costco's
time,
I would say Costco is part of the problem.
Yeah,
Costco
I
is
didn't even actually
definitely.
know they sold.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing, though, is you get, like, as we said, you get those parents that want their kids to go outside. The whole entire complaint was, hey, you guys need to start going outside, get away from the video games. All of a sudden, now kids are getting outside. Great for them. Good. I'm glad. But now they've gotten these e-bikes that go so fast that they don't know anything about the rules of the road. And I think Carlsbad is actually doing a little bit of the work to put some of those, like, rules into play. Like, at one point in time, I think if they got pulled over for not having a helmet, or for going through a light or whatever it is, they get pulled over, they get an actual ticket. And then the ticket's X, it's $50 or $100 or whatever it is. And then it goes on their record a little bit. So Carlsbad's trying to put things into play. I agree with you. It's not going fast enough, because it's a great example. Des and I were sitting at a traffic light in downtown Carlsbad a couple months ago, and we're getting ready to turn left onto Carlsbad Village, and all of a sudden some e-bike comes up on our left side going straight as we're getting ready to turn left.
Yeah.
Wow.
Barely missed the kid, and he had it was him and another kid on the back of facing backwards.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
Yeah.
why can't,
Dude, I have a similar story, and it scared
And by the
the
way,
living
it's
hell out of
the
me.
parents' fault.
Yeah.
Business is business. You're going to make stuff and hope people buy it. But the parents are the ones that are buying it and allowing it. And
From a parent
I
that
agree with you.
raised 6 teenage kids, right? I've smacked the heck out of my kids for doing stupid stuff back in the day.
can't control them all the time.
Yeah, but you can't. Legitimately, you cannot. Like, at some point, you're going to go to sleep. And I've had kids that are climbing out windows and
Yeah,
doing
of
stupid
course.
things. And
But a lot of it could be
present it, even, I hate to say it, like, it's 100% the parents' fault, right? Because kids are kids, and especially boys, when testosterone comes into play and puberty happens, and they just do stupid things.
shit.
Yeah, stupid shit. Like,
Yeah.
this is the reason why rental car companies don't rent to men under 25, because this is a hormonal thing, and they just can't think straight past whatever. But I also think by presenting it in a way that it's enforceable when the parents are not looking is very, very
that's
key.
that's why you need regulations so that it can, where the parents stop, the police or whoever can pick up, and that's not even there for them to do.
Right.
And not to mention there's not enough police out there anymore to be able to regulate it. That's so all the problems are compounding. But, like, the parents have a say in what they buy, how fast that bike goes. If the child at least has been taught some rules of the road, even though it's not regulated, the importance of it.
I wish.
But parents, I see parents driving like idiots too.
Even the birds. You remember the scooters?
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Dude, downtown is
shit show.
horrid.
Shit show.
And so it's like, I can only imagine what it is like downtown San Diego. You have a bunch of e-bikes that they just, it's like a bird, you could put your credit card and you go and you get on. They shouldn't be driving, man. They just got off the bar. It's 2 a.m. They should be driving something. And so,
On those.
but are the manufacturers, and you may or may not know this, are they making like a DUI breathalyzer, right? Like you just said, putting a breathalyzer in there. Could I buy a bike that was controlled via an app to go, nah, you're only going 10 miles an hour, kid?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I do know that
it's a great idea, though, by the way.
By the way, hey, I think we need to talk to our attorneys after this. Pat some shit. There you go.
God damn.
Hey, that just happened, you guys. You heard it first on No Fix Agenda.
No, but there is technology happening between the auto industry and the bike industry to put sensors on cars to be able to be warned. So if you put some kind of device on a bike that can be picked up by a vehicle, so a vehicle can even know it's nearby. So Tesla has this. I've been in Tesla a couple times. If you knows everything around you, so this would help at least with awareness. Even if a cyclist is being a dumbass, at least helps you.
Don't be a dumbass.
Sometimes it's a cyclist's fault. Sometimes it's definitely not. But like at least for the honest people that just accidentally or did something was in their blind spot, it helps them pick that up. But that would hopefully help, but there's a lot of measures that need to go.
Yeah, I think goodness sakes, man. Like, you remember the mopeds back in the day? Like the old school mopeds old in the hood, dude. Like there was like a thing, right? Yeah. And we used to remove the governors off those bad boys and do a bunch of stupid shit, right? And so I can imagine something like that could be prevented on this day and age of like technology. Like, goodness sakes. First of all, for you parents that are listening right now, if you have an e-bike and your kid drives it, you all need to like regulate on numbers.
You want to have the sex talk? Have the e-bike. Like, which comes first? Yeah. Maybe the e-bike. This is how you.
They're definitely not thinking about sex first. They're thinking about the stupid shit they're gonna do on their e-bike.
Yeah. We also proved that they couldn't handle phones, right? Parents and kids and phones is a disaster. And then now you add this machine, that's a disaster. And then you've got the two of those things together. Yeah. And like, it's just, oh my God, parents are not equipped. And it's inconvenient for them to do, like, it's easier for the parent to have, look at me, I have no kids, right? But it's easier for the parents, like, oh, get on your bike, get yourself there. Yep. So I don't have to take you. I totally get that. But
so
as a parent that has 6 kids, I'm gonna tell you right now, I would rather take my kids than let them go by themselves. Yeah. However, my mother was what you're saying was the opposite. You got to go to school. It's 30 blocks. Take your ass there. Here's 50 cents. Go and get on a bus. Do whatever you got to do. Right. And but
it's also where you live too. Like when we grew up in the Midwest, honestly, my parents just sent me out the door in the morning and like, hey, I'll see you when the lights come on at night.
But that was the environment back in the day.
That was the environment back in the day. But that shit still happens a lot. It's okay, here you go. And they just shove it because the parents want their kids out of the house. They don't want their kids sitting inside the house all the time anymore. Especially with the way video games are and everything else now. But
I think also too biased living here. Like, I don't know if I went back home, I would see this at all. Maybe. I don't know. And also like these bikes are not cheap. So like parents are paying all this money.
What's an e-bike going for on average?
It depends on the level, the quality level, but $1,000 to several $1,000.
Oh. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So we're having the issue in the States with that, but being that Canyon is a German company and you guys do pedal assist bikes, like do you hear anything coming out of Germany that they're having some of those issues and stuff?
They don't have those types of bikes the Europeans are riding to commute. They're riding to go get groceries. They're riding to work. Yeah. It's a totally different culture. And actually they've embraced e-bikes for decades. It's a new revolution to us. And it's like, oh, here are the Americans just
figure a way to fuck it up.
They're like, let's supercharge it. Let's supercharge it now. Now it's a status symbol, and now it's this and that, and like, and it's
Pick something decent and totally fuck it up.
or make it awesome. Make it awesome. It's just they're being abused. It's just they have different models, and the stuff that they have, we don't bring over to the US because we know it won't work. We know it won't sell. But like on the mountain bike side, it's a kind of a game changer as far as when you are, as you're aging, to be able to keep up with other groups that might be faster. If you have limited time and it's faster to climb, so you can enjoy more downhills. So everything is changing. It used to be you're cheating, you're a loser. How dare you ride an e-mountain bike?
That was my initial. I ain't gonna lie. That was my initial take.
Yeah.
When I'm on the road during COVID and I see a bike, like, you ain't working out, bro. Get a gym.
If you actually like, they're heavier, they're harder to maneuver. You're dealing with torque and all these things that like it is still challenging. It just makes going uphill a little easier, but you still have to be skilled in going back down the hill.
I love my pedal assist.
You have a pedal assist. I'm looking at you differently
is it a mountain
now,
bike
bro.
Or is it a
it's a mountain bike. Yeah,
I'm judging you right now.
I don't even. It's a cube.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. That's probably. It's nowhere near a Canyon style deal. It's a pretty good bike. I like it, and for me, because I usually ride the bike when I'm marking courses.
So as your coach, now that you tell me, dude, it's a pedal assist bike, I am not counting that as workout, by the way. Okay.
No, it is. Pro athletes use them for cross training.
Yeah. See.
Okay.
Because you can control your heart rate.
Jack, you were trying to save him, aren't you?
Yeah. You can toggle up and down with your heart rate and all those things. You can develop different levels of for recovery and for whatever. Yeah,
100%. I back that statement. That's
what all the pros say. At least.
That message is approved by Jeff Stone.
And not accepted by Omar Hernandez.
My defense is the fact that I carry all my signs with me when I'm doing it. So I'm not going to ride. I'm not going to ride a regular bike when I've got an extra 20 pounds riding on the handles of the thing, or going up a mountain to go mark a course. Mile 1, I got I'm going to pedal assist my ass up that hill. I'm like,
I mean, there's a lot of actually really good things that are not the normal intention for the bike. What's that called? Like in drugs, where it's like that wasn't the what it was approved to do or to be used for, but they end up using
is that abuse?
No, it's the I can't remember. It'll come back to me. But like forestry departments, think about being able to get further and faster. Think about photographers, being able to carry their equipment and get.
I definitely believe that there's a need for them. Absolutely. I think with the direction it's gone, I mean, I'm a little biased, right? So only because I want people to work. But the reality is there's a definite need for them, in my opinion. I mean, thinking about just Jeff riding a whole course, he would have to ride a whole marathon just to mark a course. It takes me
4 hours on a pedal assist bike. Just think if I didn't have a pedal assist, it would take me an extra 2 hours, like 6 hours. I'm not marking a course.
But I never thought about it even like from the forest ranger perspective, right? People, that kind of stuff.
Those are less of the incidences, but there's a lot of.
But it plays a role. If somebody was injured or something that needed assistance, like it's not accessible through a vehicle, like it might be accessible through a bike.
But still, if you are just also getting into cycling and you're want to be able to ride with your friends, but you can't keep up, like you can have more confidence. If you're like, this just seems more fun, I'm more likely to ride an e-bike than I am a regular bike. So you might as well
better ride an e-bike than no bike.
So there's a lot of people it's picking up a lot. It's the fastest growing product in the cycling industry.
Do you, going back to the Germany statement, do you get a chance to go over to Canyon very often and see what that manufacturing looks like?
I've been only twice, but the first time I was there, I got to go to the production facility and see that they were actually doing physical inventory. So, which means everything was shut down. They were counting everything. Yeah. So I didn't get to you know this. I'm looking.
I know. I know all about that. Yeah, but go ahead.
So we didn't get to see it in working order, but we got to do a tour and see that whole facility. But it's more assembly there. Yeah. All the manufacturing is happening in Asia.
Oh,
really?
I'm not shocked.
That doesn't shock me, but even assemblies are cool to watch. So if you've ever been in a manufacturing plant, even an assembly plant, it's amazing to watch. and you just all the intricacies and how things flow and how things set up. I'm going to geek out on you guys, but just like things like single piece flow. And like I was the privilege to learn like through Toyota and main manufacturing.
I read the Toyota Way.
Like
a few books ago.
Yeah. So like the Toyota Way is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And just one piece flow and lean and all these things. It's cool, dude.
Hey, I'm just saying,
you're a
bro.
process person.
Yeah, I am a total process.
Clearly,
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
well,
I fell asleep for a second. Sorry.
So Jeff told me you wanted to know our dynamic, right? And he told me, he gave me the description that he gave you about our dynamic is I put the lines in and Omar just fills in the colors. And I'm like, that's absolutely true. That's dead nuts right.
Play by play versus color commentary.
I hate making the lines, but once you give me my lines, I'm all about it. I'm jumping around doing all the things, man.
I think me personally, I think you colored outside the line.
Yeah, hey.
Is that why you're not in that job?
No. I actually loved it. I loved doing that kind of stuff, but I hated the admin side of things, like procedural stuff and creating the guidelines. I'm like, let's just see what happens. I'm that kind of guy. And a lot of times it actually worked, but that's what lean is, right? You make small improvements for the better. And so I would take a process and they already had lines in it and processes and procedures. And you would just, what happens if we do this? Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that worked great. Let's do it again. I love that you were there in Germany. I can only imagine that would be a lot of fun.
I wish I could have seen it in motion maybe next time, but yeah, we don't have any production here. We have light production in the US.
Okay.
So it depends on the bike, but it's through a third party.
One of the things when you and I met a couple weeks ago, we had gotten into conversation. Like I said, I've known Dan for a long time too. So this comes back to him and partially like what he does and stuff like that now. But you've always been a side hustle type of person, right? And there was something that really stuck with me when we had this conversation. It goes back to also to the Germany travel and stuff is side hustle. Then you finally found something that you really love to do. I committed. And I would love to, because as much fun as we have on this show, I also want people to take away a few things. And one of the things that I found really interesting is the fact that, and I believe a lot of people probably struggle with this a little bit and how to move forward with that, right? And you took the opportunity to go travel by yourself. And this is what I've wanted to do. This is what, and you've gone from supporting Dan in his career and raising Gavin, as we said, to now doing something that you really love doing and want to be the primary of what's going on in your life versus, okay, this is secondary. I'm working at whatever. Now it's me, in a sense.
Yeah, I would say it wasn't that I supported Dan in his career, because his career was not really, he was exiting that industry.
What was the industry?
Cycling, as we met through the cycling industry. A lot of this came up just by necessity. He had a steady job and I had just entered the industry and I was trying to make my way as like a consultant, piecing together. His steady job wasn't that great of a job as far as he actually supported me and me being able to sort through this and piece together some sort of career that I just figured out I enjoyed. I came from sales and technology sales and business development and things. And I got laid off twice during the recession in 2008 and 9. And then I just happened, because of my networking, and a friend was like, why don't you help us with this cycling event? And I was like, I know nothing. But then that's where I got into the event world. And that was really, it was the event side of things that I really enjoyed. And the cycling was fun and great for exercise and things like that. Everything was just, I was piecing together work and getting into other industries like apparel or nutrition or whatever. And like alone, like it's like altogether it was like perfect jobs, because when you got to be with one company or on the fringes, then you could realize that's not for me, but okay, this is my project and I'll see it through. But that's just what I did for a long time. And he eventually got laid off. We got married and he got laid off.
Wow.
And then I had a full-time job at that point, but I always had side hustles. And so from that point, I had full-time jobs and side hustles to support him. because he wasn't working. And then we decided to start a business for him to make furniture, a furniture making business, custom furniture. So we tried that. And so like together, it was just like, we were just trying things and trying to keep a roof over our head. And he got another full-time job, and I was still piecing things together. It was progressing, and I was getting more responsibility. And eventually, when I got this job with Canyon, I had a full-time job before that too, but I also side hustled. I never didn't side hustle for the entire time.
So what do you consider one of the side hustles?
I was a marketing manager for a company in a power sport industry. Was the event manager of the Belgian Waffle Ride, a cycling race.
Got it.
That was a big side hustle because that was so much time.
Planning. Yeah.
So much time and so much effort and so much distraction, mind you. I don't think that I was very good at my full-time job as a result. But finally, when I was offered the job at Canyon, I knew I couldn't keep everything, nor did I want to. And that was the first time at the 10 years that I was focused on one job.
Wow.
And thank God, because that one job ended up, one company, but there's a million jobs within the company to do. So did I answer your question?
You did.
Yes.
So, but I want to so when you talk about when you got hired on to Canyon, was it like marketing already, or
it was event? It was to be their event manager,
and then eventually,
eventually, I took on more responsibility. Eventually, shortly thereafter, the pandemic hit.
Got it.
And then events stopped. And fortunately, I wasn't just an event person. That was where my current interest was. And that's how they knew me. But I also had all this, I had background. I had all sorts of business experience. And
because of your side hustle.
Because of all my side hustles.
Oh.
And so I took project after project, things that they never had anybody to do. And so I would take those on, and then eventually events came back to life, and then more responsibility and a team. And so fortunately that all worked out. Now I'm a director handling more. So it's great. And my husband, he never got another job. I supported him because during this time when he was laid off, he was very sick. And so there was a time where he couldn't work for 2 years, could hardly leave the house. Wow. It was that bad. I spent a lot of time supporting him and his health and us financially and all that. I've definitely taken on. So now he's supporting. Now it's okay. Son's grown up. Your health is under control. You get to have fun making furniture all day, and you don't have to be stressed out. Now it's my turn, for real, my turn. I'm on a good trajectory, and I'm focused on me. And he's okay. You've taken one for the team for a while. Yeah. And I've always been career minded, but it also is like everything. It's not like he held me back from a career. I was always driving towards it. I just hadn't had the right opportunity. I hadn't figured out what I was really good at. So I was testing, and I had the comfort of having a family unit and having more substance in my life, because all the things you're helping him survive, and you're doing this for the family. So there was a lot of purpose that I didn't need it to be all about my job, but I was still moving forward. Right. So it all happened naturally, very consciously, but still naturally. And I was like, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? And then finally it did.
Yeah. I love that. I love that story. It's almost like when I think of side hustles, I think of like, I made stickers and I'm selling them out of the back of my truck. Okay. You're talking a side hustle as like a project of managing an event.
Yeah.
So yes, they are side hustles, but they're not little side hustles. I think you're underselling that big time. And I think it sounds like that journey was amazing, but your side hustles developed you into allowing you to open up the doors to all these avenues in Canyon that just made you indispensable.
Sure. I know that there are many people who could do my job, and I just happen to be
the right person,
geographically desirable. I'm right in front of them. They've worked with me. So I was top of mind, and like, they're a young company. And so, they could have had their pick. And fortunately I was on a short list, and they were moving fast. Sometimes they want to move fast, and they don't want to interview a bunch of people. So I don't know, like, it was just luck, and I'm just making the most of it as much as I can.
Yeah. You're on the job training with all your side hustles. Definitely made you to be like desirable. Like I used to be that guy that would build the teams, and I have zero. When I say my career in logistics, I literally started by stacking boxes. And then you end up being a director, and then you end up being the guy. Yeah. And what made me indispensable throughout my career in logistics was that when the recession happened, I could step down and do a supervisor's job. I went from being a regional manager to being a supervisor if they needed me to be, right? If I could load a truck, if somebody didn't show up to do that thing. And so I think all of your side hustles made you pretty indispensable, even though geographically it all aligned, even though I always have this saying, if you can just put your head down and grind, the opportunity will present itself. And it's like, it sounds like you were always grinding no matter what was happening, husband's health, all this other things and all this. And then all of a sudden you got this opportunity with Canyon and you're on the short list because you looked up and you're like, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's all my work has been projects. And I think that I've been able to navigate projects well and be able to drive towards the finish line of a project. And so then when you come into a business and like really everything is just projects and in leadership, it's project management. Yeah. And so that's helped me a lot. And I never turn down like responsibility, like give me more responsibility. Yeah. Give me another project. Yeah. Like if there's a problem, I don't know. I'm probably not the technical person that knows everything about this, but at least they trust now that I will figure out who to get involved to get it done. So and that's who I want to be. And that's who I hope that continues on.
I think it all comes down to anybody who's in that same position of trying to figure out really what they want to do as far as a career or find that right career that fits their needs, right? And they're stuck in that same side hustle situation. Like just keep grinding it out and figure out you're good in those side hustles to make sure that when time is called.
Yeah. She said something that really resonated with me right now. And you kept on saying, yes, give me more responsibility. Yes. And I think the mentality in the workforce is pay me first and they'll do it.
I see that in employees.
Right. And so for you listeners, if you want to get to the role, that's the one thing any mentee that I've ever taken under my wing, just do it. If I tell you to mop the floor, be the best freaking mopper you could ever be. If I tell you to, just stock the coolers, be the best stock cooler you could ever be. Give me more.
Actually,
give me more.
For me to ask.
Just give me more. Give me more. Give me more. Give me more. And trust me when I tell you the leadership, one way or another, if not the organization, will see it. And if they don't, then that's not the organization for you. You obviously saying, yeah, I'll take that. I'll do that. Even though when you didn't know exactly all the ins and outs of the opportunity, right? You were just like, yeah, I'll do that. If not, I'll figure it out. Right.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about like mentoring and people's careers are like, I've been so frustrated for so many years of my life when it came to my career, knowing I could do more.
Right.
But when you get the way you get started, not everybody can control. Like I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. My dad was like, go to business school. Okay. and then I graduate with a general degree because I didn't like finance, didn't like accounting. And then I was just interviewing for companies, and I don't want to turn this into a daddy issue podcast, but
it's okay. We all deal with daddy issues.
but then it was, my dad didn't give me any room to figure things out. It was like, you're graduating 4 years. I totally get that because thankfully my parents paid for my college. But it was like, you don't get all this time to look for a job and figure out what you want to do or even get a better opportunity. I interviewed for some jobs. Literally the first job where I was offered,
I'll take it.
He was like, you have to take it. Not in that nice of a voice.
Take the job.
Like, don't be like, and that's not what I wanted to do. And I was like, okay. And then, so I spent the first 8 years of my career doing something I didn't want to do and trying to make it work. And it just wasn't working. And thank God I got laid off to open up the opportunity. It's like the story of one door shuts and another one opens. Like, and it's so true. It is so true. But then you stumble across some things, and then the whole side hustle thing, or the consulting or contract work thing, was like allowed me to experiment with a lot of different companies and brands. And I was fortunate enough that it started slow. It was like one opportunity, and then you meet somebody who sees you working, and they have a small, it was piecing together like $1,000 projects. But through that, you get a lot of experience of business or of industry. And so that just piecing it together and just giving more experience to figure out what you're good at and what you want to do, like that to me is like the lesson. Don't stay in any, it's hard to, you stay in things, whether it's your job or your marriage, you stay in things because you're afraid of the other side.
What's not knowing what's on the other side.
I don't want to be alone, or I don't want to be unemployed and then have to figure it out again. But man, like I guess I'm proud that I took advantage of just trying to get as much experience as I could to figure out what I liked. It wasn't necessarily, I didn't know, I guess, what I was doing at the time, but I really just was trying to figure out what I was good at.
Yeah. So all those jobs that you didn't like to do, would you say you never took anything out of those situations or scenarios?
Oh, of course I took something out of it. And it usually, sometimes you realize this industry is not for me, or this type of customer I can't really relate to, or the type of employees that this kind of company attracts, I can't really relate to. I'm not one of those people, or this leader is not a good leader. I don't know. And this type of work that is like really interesting, or it's really lame. I don't know. Like you just...
The bottom line is, even though the jobs you didn't like to do, I know from my career, there's so many, not in my wildest dreams did I think I was going to be a fitness coach or a gym owner.
Well, it's a complete deviation.
It's 100%, right? But there was one thing that was very prevalent throughout my entire career. I always built good teams. So like when you look at my performance reviews, they were all trash. Like, you suck at this and that, but you're really good at this and that. Yeah. And all of them were like team buildings, leadership, all this other stuff. And I was like, man, I've been a coach my entire life. My wife brought this up to me. She's like, you've been a coach your entire life, even though you were in logistics, but look at all these reviews and look at what you were good at. And there was a lot of things that I did not like to do in that industry that I was forced to do, procedures and all the crap that I know by doing them, I knew that I didn't like it. But once I got out of that element and I decided to leave, and I've been fired from jobs. And even when you leave the job, you're like, that sucked. But you're right. All that experience, I knew I learned one thing, what I did not like to do and what I really wanted to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's not always obvious at first.
Yeah, it's not. It takes trial and error.
It takes a while, or you think you like something, but maybe you just want. You want yourself to want to like it. I wanted to be an entrepreneur for a very long time, and I tried, and I just,
it's not the life, yo.
Maybe I never thought any of my ideas were all that good. No. And I didn't believe in them enough you really have to believe in your own ideas. I believe in myself, but sometimes I don't think the entrepreneurial ideas is there yet. I'm happy to support other entrepreneurs. That I love to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome. Yeah. Oh.
Jack, thanks so much for coming in. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Such a fun conversation.
It was fun.
Teach O a little bit more about biking.
Because I know nothing about it. Hey, wait a minute. I'm the average Mexican superhero, bro. Yeah. We ride Schwinns, okay? Yeah.
You can come to the Canyon Showroom in Carlsbad at 5600 Avenida Encinitas.
There you go.
Encinitas.
Okay. Nice little plug. I like that.
We'll do some demos in the parking lot.
All right, Jack. I got you. I'm going to take you up on that offer, okay? As long as it's not an e-bike.
I think you need the e-bike. Oh, wow. No, we'll do a little test.
All right. Well,
yeah. Pedal and the.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
This has been an international podcast transmission of No Fixed Agenda presented by Bubs Naturals. You can rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or wherever you find your favorite podcast episodes. NFA, over and out.